And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game 2 here of the Silver Division semifinals between Pendulum and HypE Esports. I'm Random Minion Caster, and alongside me for this series is going to be Chaotic Obsidian, a special guest here from the Gold Divisions. And for Game 2, it's going to be HypE on the blue side, Pendulum on the red side here. No changes to either roster. So before we jump into picks and bans here, Chaotic Obsidian, Game 1, really quick win here for the side of HypE Esports. How did you feel about that?
I thought that HypE honestly just played it out really well. Honestly, they didn't have the better team fight comp in my mind, but they managed to find the fights that worked for them, mixed with the composition that they had. They really played to their strengths. I don't think that the Shen was very effective from Pendulum Gaming. So seeing the Leona here is kind of refreshing. It's at least it's a similar champion, but there's at least a second play, in the fact that you go in, but you still have some stuff to do if you miss your taunt. So Leona should have more effectiveness here in my mind. I think Pendulum, looking into this draft, I think that they should have a similar kind of style to what they were doing in Game 1. I just think it's going to be a little bit easier to execute. They have more consistent damage. They have, the Wukong to really lock them down twice. It's not just one Cataclysm and then get out. It's actually locked down. Choose your knockups, and then just go for it. Take your shot and hope you make it.
Sure. I'm just going to quickly go through the draft here. Since you have mentioned it, we're going right into it. The bans, it's going to be HypE from the blue side. So they get first ban, first pick. They're going to ban out the Diana, Yasuo, Vi, Nico, and Cho'Gath. Pendulum banning out the Xerath, Ziggs, Senna, and Orianna, and Galio. So a bit of a change here from Pendulum. They did not like Ray's Senna here, and that's going to mean Ray's going to lock himself the Ashe immediately here for HypE Esports, along with the Braum for Fluff Get Smash, which works so well. They're going to get the Sejuani Teemo again, and this time it's going to be a Lux in the mid lane for Tommy Peppers, perfectly fitting his ranged artillery preference here for Pendulum Gaming. As you mentioned, the Leona pick up for themselves, the Wukong as well, Mordekaiser, Caitlyn, and Vel'Koz. And why change what ain't broke? I mean, Yasuo only, Vel'Koz had no problems last game, so they're going to continue giving that one over to him. So yeah, as you were saying, Chaotic Obsidian, about the compositions here.
Yeah. So you see that, obviously they've still got the Teemo in the top lane. Again, you consider it to be an off-meta pick. However, Rinks did really well with the last game. You can presume that he's going to at least have some comfort on it to do well this game. I can't see that I've seen too many Teemos work well in competitive, but that one last game seemed to do pretty well. So why change it, basically? Then on the same side, you've got the Sejuani again, you've got Braum again. They're just really champions that they're feeling pretty comfortable with. They clearly had some kind of a plan of what they wanted to do here. And in my mind, Ashe Sejuani is an even better combination than Senna Sejuani. So I think that HypE has only kind of improved what they've done here, or what they've done wrong in the last comp. But then since Senna and Orianna were banned out, they just decided to go for Ashe, which is, in my opinion, an upgrade, and Lux, which is a similar idea. It's a burst mage, doesn't have as much safety or utility as Orianna, but still has enough to be just fine. You've got the team-wide shield instead of the single-target shield, and you've got a two-person knockdown instead of the potential 5-man shockwave, but you can still find the ult onto all 5 members. So it's really a similar style of play to me in the mid lane, and it's going to have just as much poke. I think it's going to be something that can match Vel'Koz a little bit better. It's going to be slightly more oppressive if she keeps landing the poke. But Vel'Koz opting into this matchup, so obviously feels okay playing Vel'Koz into pretty much anything, I would assume, including the Lux.
Yeah, I mean, with that Lux too, that's perfectly Tommy Pepper style. We've seen him play a lot of Ziggs, a lot of Xerath, a lot of sort of ranged, and Orianna wasn't exactly his style, but I think HypE does pick that partially for the flexibility. They can hand it over to Rinks. It's weird, I know, but Rinks does play it in the top lane as well sometimes. Instead, it is going to be the Lux this time, which is more in style. And because it was a later pick, they locked in the Teemo earlier. And as you said, the partial glacial composition coming out, the Sejuani, Ashe, Braum here, lots of AoE lockdown. And You know, for the side of Pendulum here, I know you said that you were hoping for a change in maybe the ADC as well. You didn't like the Ezreal pick as much. Now, with the Caitlyn for Snuggle, but a bit more reliable as well, as well as the changes in the top lane and jungle, do you think that Pendulum's composition this game is going to be as good as what they had last game? Because you did favor the composition last game.
Honestly, I think this composition should be better than last game's. I think it's easier to execute. It's more consistent damage. You have late game scaling from Mordekaiser and Caitlyn, as well as the lockdown from Vel'Koz, or sorry, from Wukong and Leona, to enable all three of their carries to pop off. They have a lot of range between Kate and Vel'Koz. They have a lot of wave clear, and then they should have some split pushing or 1v1 pressure from Mordekaiser. They can also play around the objectives a little bit more. They can, instead of just zoning off Sejuani, which they did a couple of times in the last game, they're going to be able to just completely remove her from even being able to contest anything. I think they should have more success with this comp, but I said that last game and I was proven wrong, so I think we'll only know once we get into it.
For sure, fair enough. I mean, compositions aren't everything. They do give you an edge, but they're certainly not the end-all, be-all here. And that's why we still have to play out the game on Summoner's Rift. And speaking of the Rift, here we are onto the Rift here with both teams, and last time we did see Pendulum looking for an invade, and this time it looks like it's going to be. No, was it HypE? Sorry, it was HypE looking for the invade.
It was the same. It's honestly, it was the same team, and it's in the same bush. So we'll see if they can make anything else happen here. I think it's going to be the same result.
But we'll see. I mean, they're on a different side of the map this time, so yeah, a bit of a different invade pattern. And we'll have to see. They do spot out Killer Lil Ninja. That means they get spotted out instead. But Killer Lil Ninja sticking around a bit too long. The snare comes across. So is the stun. The ignite comes out from Rinks, but it's going to be Tommy Peppers picking up easy first blood there, and that's another little misposition here from Killer Lil Ninja. You can take the Shen out of you can take Killer Lil Ninja off the Shen, but you can't take the Shen mispositioning out of Killer Lil Ninja this quickly between games here.
That's quite a tongue twister you got there, but it's pretty accurate, you know. And again, they do that invade, they get an early kill, but they don't actually get what I would consider to be one of the important wards down. To me, they could have even just completely bullied off Wukong from this side of the jungle. You know, they had the 5-man stack. They could have tried to take the blue buff if they so chose to, or at least push Wukong off, but they're opting not to do that. I think that's fine too. I just really wish that they would have gotten some wards down there, because where they put this ward down, you're not going to be able to see Wukong go to any of his camps unless he paths in a really strange way.
For sure, and I'm guessing they feel fairly confident here. Instead, they just wanted Tommy Peppers to go back, pick himself up a second Duran's ring here in the mid lane, making him that much tankier, giving him a bit more mana regen as well to handle Yasuo only in the mid lane. So they're looking to try and let Tommy Peppers get that 1v1 and sort of be able to suppress him. We do see Nonstop Brain, after picking up his bottom red buff, he's running straight topside, so he will get spotted out by this deep ward, which Pendulum managed to put down after losing Killer Lil Ninja on that bot side there.
Yeah, and we can see also that Sejuani's having a pretty similar route here to what she did in game 1, except just on the opposite side. You know, red buff first into Wolf, blue Gromp. That should give, I believe, still just the level 3. I don't think you're going to get the level 4 off of the one additional camp, but we'll find out here in a bit. But more importantly, they have the ward here, and it was placed down late enough that they actually spot her doing this. So they're going to know that there's not really anything to take. And although she's got the one extra camp, there's not going to be an XP lead because Wukong also did one additional camp. They're just choosing not to have that same cheeky invade they had last time on Jarvan, which is technically the only thing that sets them ahead, is we've got a big trade in mid lane.
Just some damage traded back and forth, and now Timic looking for that top side because Killer Unicorns is being shoved in right now. Nonstop Brain not looking top side because there's nothing to gank. Instead, we're going to have to see if Timic does opt to do this. There is a ward here near the top side. It will spot Timic out, and he's going to go for the scuttle instead. Has to be careful as he might get collapsed on here by both Rings and Nonstop Brain. He's looking to try and get away. The stun, is it going to come across the time? No, he flashes over the wall. That's Timic's flash down, and scuttle going to go towards HypE Esports.
That's good. If Sejuani can get the double scuttle here, she'll actually have the XP lead, and that's going to be really important. To me, if you're a couple levels up on Sejuani in the jungle matchup, the extra stats you get from your health really help yourself increasing your damage as well, I feel. You know, there's just a lot there's a lot of hidden damage in Sejuani's kit using that stun into the percent damage. So it's really something that a lot of junglers underestimate. It was good on Wukong to flash there, because if he didn't, I'm pretty sure that he was just going to be dead. Not from that auto alone, but if you get that auto plus one more flail, it's going to be pretty close to all your health pretty fast.
For sure, and the CC lock, which could have potentially come out, was massive. Not to mention Rings coming down, can put out quite a bit of damage with the Ignite and the Poison. We've already seen that happen last game, where he almost took Killer Unicorns down in that top side early. Not quite a dive. He didn't dive in. Killer Unicorns just barely survived with the shield. But for now, it looks like everybody's just going back to a holding pattern back in their lanes once more. As Nonstop Brain looks like he just wants to try and farm up, hit 6, get that Glacial Prison up as soon as he can. Ring's having to flash immediately in the top lane as he gets dragged back. He was potentially in turret range, so he just wanted to make sure he didn't draw anything. The Poison constantly drawing aggro anytime he's under turret, and so his flash is going to be down. We'll have to see if Timic does take advantage of that here.
Yeah, and while we've got some time here, I think that this is a pretty big mistake, in my opinion, on the Sejuani. She didn't choose to take the recall before clearing her camp the second time around down bot. That's actually going to slow down your clear more than it's going to help out what you would gain from staying in lane. We've got a flash.
Bot lane, the stun comes out from Killer Ninja. No Zenith Blade needed. Instead, we see the cleanse coming out to keep him safe. Fluff gets smashed, almost going down. Has to flash the heal. It's going to keep him alive through that Ignite, though. And they're starting to turn the tides here. Sunglebutt has to be careful. The slows are being applied, but a good flash going to keep him safe. And Fluff going back in. That was a mistake. He will go down here. It's going to be Timic picking that one up. And that's going to cost his team as well, as Nonstop Braid dies for his sins as the turnaround comes back hard. And Ray going to be forced back. Pendulum finding themselves 2 kills, and perhaps will be able to find themselves a bit of a lead maybe as they go for the first Drake of the game, this Cloud Drake here for themselves.
Yeah, and I've definitely got to disagree with that play going back in on Braum. I think that if you had everyone down to like 300 HP there and going back in just to save Sejuani and she could turn it around would be good. I think that would be the call, but the way that they handled that there is just a little bit of over-aggression, which, you know, to Little Ninja's credit, he actually capitalized on it this time. He managed to find the lockdown. They managed to turn around that fight. Because Sejuani hadn't backed before, she didn't have her boots early on, so she wasn't fast enough to get into range to keep applying that passive. And then on top of that, she couldn't even use Smite on an enemy champion. So Wukong being able to smite from that with that jungle item, and being able to turn that tide of battle just a little bit faster with Leona, that means they win the fight and they get Dragon.
For sure, and as you said, they do have themselves a very strong sort of team fight composition here. And if they can get the lead in the early game, they might be able to snowball that. But despite somehow winning that, they're actually down in CS here, as in gold, pardon me. Despite that here, as we do see Nonstop Brain finding himself a significant lead in the jungle. He's about 2 camps up, and that counts for a lot more than CS jungle camps being more valuable. And mid lane, Tommy Peppers finding himself the slightest of leads, but it's top lane. Rings continuing the abuse against Killer Unicorns here. That Teemo might be an unorthodox pick, but it's certainly working in lane right now.
Yeah, and you know, the 2 camps advantage there, that's going to be a couple hundred gold, but the 2 kills over to Wukong should mean that Wukong's got the gold lead, plus he has the bounty on him. So it should actually be in Wukong's favor. I think the main difference is coming from the top lane here. As you can see, 700 gold up on this Teemo again in this matchup. You know, he's out farming, he's out pressuring, and soon enough, if he can press, you know, if he can keep that lane dominance up, they should be able to get something else off of it. I've noticed he doesn't take TP. That could be a bit of a disadvantage in terms of map pressure. But if Teemo's just planning on staying on lane and killing anything that comes to him anyway, it's not really going to matter too much.
For sure. I mean, Ring's looking like he's practicing a lot of social distancing right now. Doesn't want to use the teleport, just wants to isolate himself with the mushroom farm. Now Timic potentially getting caught out, has not hit 6 yet, so has to be careful. No Cyclone available, will be able to disengage, but he took quite a bit of burst damage from Rings in the top lane there, and that's going to stop any ambitions they have towards Herald for now. Nonstop Brain not looking for it, he's going for it either, and now Rings has to be careful. He just walks smack into Killer Unicorns there. The shield is barely tickling him. Will take him down a little bit, and I don't know if he's going to try this again. It looks like he's going to back out. He spots the control ward this time. He's going to clear that out, and Killer Unicorns going to be basically reset, not finding much of an advantage on that face check there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, Rinks he's getting bullied out in these situations, but he's still finding the farm and keeping a pretty decent lead anyway. So as long as he doesn't die in any of these situations, it should be fine. Nothing's going to happen in the bot lane. That's really safe play. They must have had that warded from a while back. They had the brush there, and they also had Chai Brush warded as well, it looks like. So to me, in order for Sejuani to start finding any of these ganks, she's going to have to get the sweeper's lens on her next back. If she doesn't, then I think that the window for her gank effectiveness is probably just going to get warded away, and I don't know that she's going to be able to really influence the map in the way that Sejuani would want to early on, which means you're just left with that late game scaling and initiation, which worked so well for them last game. If they can continue to work so well for them this game, it'd be great. But they don't have as much of a lead as they had last time. Only 1K at 10 minutes here, so pretty much just from that Teemo lane, to be honest. It's really not much, as we're going to get some
aggression. That lead might evaporate here, as we do see Timic and Killer Unicorns going in. The double Cyclone, more than enough to CC him up. It's going to be Killer Unicorns slamming down with that mace to vent his frustrations, and that might give them the ability to take the Herald here, as we do see Yasuo only coming over the wall with the Blast Cone. He's going to walk into a shroom, so that is going to give a bit of vision. Now Nonstop Brain hovering around the side. Is he going to go for this? Probably not here. Does not have sufficient backup from Tommy Peppers. Instead, they might look to contest the Drake in a minute instead. And you know, that bot lane gank you're talking about from Nonstop Brain, where he tried to force it. An attempt? Did they get it? No, it doesn't look like they tried, but it's going to be Timic picking up the Eye of the Herald. Tommy Pepper's not able to pick that one up. And are they going to try something in the mid lane here? Timic is here. There is no Cyclone available for him right now, but he is just going to drop a clone, bait out the Lux bindings there, and they'll be just A-okay for now. I just want to talk about that bot gank for a second as well from Nonstop Brain. He was 6, he was looking for the gank, and I think he just kind of pulled the trigger a little early because Ray was almost 6. And if they had that Enchanted Crystal Arrow, they could potentially have forced that gank a little bit better, but by being that aggressive and sort of showing their hand a bit early, I think they kind of lost the opportunity. And so we'll have to see where Nonstop Brain ultimately decides to throw that first Glacial Prison here.
Yeah. You know, it's hard to set up ganks like that when the lanes just kind of have so much engage, because you know the bot lane could step up like that, and Leona and Caitlyn could realistically probably just burst them down before Sejuani even gets in if they go any sooner. You know, so waiting that extra wave, obviously the wave is about to crash into them, and I think that's what alerted them more than anything. You don't tend to be trying to force a fight if there's that much of a wave and it's coming back into you. So when you go aggressive like that, it's usually a sign that there's a jungler just hanging nearby. You know, at this level, I guess it's realistic that they could be taking some over-aggression, but I don't think that these players are bad by any stretch. So I don't think that there's any way they'd be choosing to fight in that situation unless it was a gank. And that's just really well read by Pendulum bot lane, and they managed to find the safety. Nothing happens there, and Sejuani still hasn't thrown out the ult. Here we are now at 12 minutes. Where do you find these ganks? You know, everywhere that she walks up, look at their vision control. It's so hard to find anything. You know, blue side almost completely dark, and red side almost completely the opposite. You know, there's almost no fog of war in places that matter for red side here.
For sure, and we do see Timic potentially looking topside once again, but the mushroom farm just makes it so hard to find a good avenue. And interestingly enough, we do see the Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming out onto Snuggle, but they're looking for damage. Solar Flare comes across, it does manage to tag too, and they've sort of stopped the disengage, but it's Killer Lil Ninja having to flash out here as he finds himself getting captured by 3 Ace. No comes out, no body block means Ray will have to eat that one there. He's going to take a chunk of damage, and Nonstop Brain, is he going to smite this one away? Yes, he will eventually. And Timic, meanwhile, on the top side, along with Killer Unicorns, they dive this with Herald, so they do manage to find and take rings down. So Pendulum starting to snowball their leads. We did miss them taking the Ocean Drake as well. So they've got the Drake, they've got rings dead as well, and they survived the gank in the bot lane. They are in a pretty decent position for themselves right now as they look to get the first third of the game in the top side.
Yeah, and Pendulum finally has a gold lead, battling back from about 1.5k down. They've got 2 kills onto the Teemo now, which means that, honestly, Mordekaiser should be able to start snowballing pretty quickly.
And now a roam from Killer Lil Ninja into the mid lane. He's looking for Tommy Peppers. Will get the stun, but a good flash will keep Tommy safe, get him out of that disintegration raise range there. So Yasuo only not having as fun a lane this time when he's matched up against another long-range poke champion.
Yeah, that's honestly a really good flash. If you missed that flash there, we see a repeat gank actually.
The solo flare comes across. They don't land the stun. They do get the slow though, but not enough follow-up, and the binding does keep Tommy Peppers safe for now, and that's going to be a major team fight ultimate down for the Nakes of the WoW here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that long of a cooldown to be worried about using it in that situation as Leona, because you want the follow-up. You know, all of the fights here have been pretty few and far between. Your next Dragon's coming up in 2 minutes, your next Herald's in 2 minutes, so there's really no reason not to use the ult there. On the flip side, if you do manage to secure that kill, it doesn't really get you anything. It gets you 1 kill on Vel'Koz, which is great, but it doesn't get you into the next game winning condition. You know, I don't think that you take that mid lane tower, so I think the repeat gank is good. I think the ult timing is fine, but I don't think that it really matters either way if they get that kill or not, aside from snowballing Vel'Koz just a little bit more.
And Timic is coming in once again. Zenith Blade comes out. The cleanse comes out as well, but it won't be enough. Timic flashing back in. He gets the second Cyclone, and he finally manages to take down Ray there. Snugglebutt not actually getting any assists. Now Fluff gets smashed, almost guaranteed to go down as well. We do see the Lux ultimate coming across. The final spark is not so final as Killer Little Ninja does not go down, and Pendulum just snowballing this as they find yet another 2 kills here. And they're now 6-1, up about 2,000 gold here. Not a huge lead, but the fact that they're consistently finding kills and now getting themselves a second turret here is good news for them.
Yeah, and this is technically half of the lead that we saw in Game 1 at this point in the game, but it's onto the opposite team, so we're going to see how they manage to snowball their lead here. You know, can they get it to 4K by 20? Can they get it, you know, into more barren play by the time it finally spawns? And just really try to speed up the pace of this game. Because again, the Sejuani Ashe Braum, this team is going to eventually hit a point where Sejuani is very hard to kill, so is Braum, and they're going to have
another solo flare attempt into the mid lane. They don't quite get it once again. Ace in the hole going to come out. Nothing much to follow up about, but that will give them priority on the Inferno Drake that's about to spawn.
Yeah, and you know, when the Drake's coming up like that, it's not a bad idea to go try to find an initiation on the mid lane, as we're going to get one in the bot lane.
Yeah, as you said, into the bot lane here, the Zenith Blade misses, but Timic still onto Ray. Where is the peel? There is absolutely no peel, and Ray is just going to get melted because nobody was saving him. Timic now caught in a bit of a hairy situation. Can he get out? No, he cannot. Rink's going to take him down with the poison, and we do see Snugglebutt starting to come online. He finds Fluff, gets smashed. Nonstop trying to run away. Can't he make it? There's no turret. There's no safety. Killer Unicorn's coming in as well. Zenith Blade missing once again, and this time Nonstop Brain does get dragged into the Death Realm. He's down. That's a 4-for-1 in favor of Pendulum here. Their lead just keeps growing, and they're going to be able to easily take down this Drake with no contest.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, you would think from the way that initiation went down that was going to be much more in Pendulum Gaming's favor. It turned into just a little bit HypE favored until Sejuani went down at the end there. But I'll get back to that in a second. We've got some action bot lane.
For sure. Ring's having to flash out the soul there, which seems to always be up. We just saw it being used not too long ago in the mid lane there. That Cloud Drake doing work, and Rings will be safe, but Killer Unicorn starting to hit the point where it looks like he can 1v1 Rings here. So Rings not enjoying that sort of dominance he had in Game 1 here.
Yeah, and to talk a little bit about Sejuani not finding, you know, that back timing earlier, to bring it back to this point.
Oh, but the action just doesn't stop. I'm sorry, they don't want to let you try and analyze that. Timic potentially getting caught out. He's in the midst of 4. He will go down, and that one's going to go over to Ray here. So they are going to surrender control of this Herald, it looks like, as HypE Esports going to start this one up here.
Yeah, Timic just a little bit overextended there. You know, they're supposed to be trying to force with their gold lead. In my mind, you know, you're trying to keep getting that gold lead going in your favor, but forcing that hard is a little bit silly, I think.
Yeah, and it will cost them here, but it is going to be Killer Ninja now potentially getting caught out a little bit They don't quite have enough damage. What was that flash? A little delayed there, but does manage to get out. The final spark comes out. Does it find anyone? Not again. It does not. Tommy Pepper's no luck trying to find Killer Little Ninja with these fishing ultimates here, and that will be the Herald going the way of HypE Esports. And the question is, where are they going to drop it? They haven't managed to get a single turret yet.
Yeah, the turrets will come later. You know, you can even save this for a recall or two to keep speeding up the Sejuani backs. Which, speaking of which, if you look at her build, I really have to question what she's doing here. She doesn't have the completed Cinderhulk item yet. She doesn't have boots completed yet, and now she's building into Warmongs in addition to Stoneplate. There's just not one single item that she's focusing on here. Kind of the garage sale build of just all of the pieces of what Sejuani would want, but not anything actually complete, as we're going to see what that means for her here, I think.
I mean, it means she's probably going to be dead. A good flash. Is she going to be able to get out? No, she can't. Unfortunately, the Death Realm just lasting just barely long enough, and non-stop brain just kind of going over the wall. I can't even say it's blind because they did have the Scuttle Ward here, so they did see Killer Unicorns and Killer Little Ninja. Just a bit of a question mark play there, and that is unfortunately going to mean non-stop brain back to base. No items to complete there. Not enough gold. Actually, they do manage to just barely scrape enough gold to complete that Cinderhulk there. Mid lane. Ace in the hole coming out onto Tommy Peppers. Not sure, maybe just a zoning out perhaps. Not really going to take much damage. The shield was enough, but we do see Timic hovering on the side. Is he going to look for a gank to mid lane? No, he's going to back out. And again, we're back in a bit of a holding pattern.
I like the usage for Kate ult. That's kind of what it's supposed to be used for. It doesn't really have a lot of fight effectiveness, and really, if you're not having a lot of stragglers get away from your team fights anyway, you just kind of use it for poke in lane. It's the same way with the Lucian ultimate when it used to be scaling off of attack speed. You would just kind of use it to clear minions or find some pokes since it wasn't very good in fights. But nowadays, you know, the Lucian ult is the opposite side of that, where it's actually pretty good in fights. And the Kate ult is now sort of finding that way. As
narrow miss from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow there as Killer Unicorns barely gets out. The Ignite not able to find him a good Blast Cone, but that's going to send him packing back to base. He does have Teleport available, and this is going to give a slight numbers advantage to HypE Esports for the next little bit while they're in the mid lane. They might look to siege. We do see Shelly being summoned here. They are going to try and brute force this mid lane chart, and they might actually be able to take it potentially here.
Yeah, Shelly's at least going to get the charge off here. If they can't take it, that's going to be pretty bad. But they managed to find it. But now
and the teleport from behind. We've got Killer Unicorns looking for the flank here. And it's going to be a force engage from Timic. Ray just being dragged into the Death Realm. He will go down. Yasuo only with the Disintegration Ray. He's packing out the damage here. And they're going to be able to get Fluff, get smashed. That's 3 down already. Ace in the hole coming out. No blocking for Rings. He's going to eat the whole damage there. Has to be careful. They might look to dive this, but they are going to be able to disengage. And that is going to be the outer turrets for the mid lane here. Traded by both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when you get that Rift Herald off, you get that turret, but the second Rift Herald just doesn't have that same kind of effectiveness. You're not getting the extra gold, and a lot of times I just see teams getting baited just like this. You know, a beautiful teleport coming in from Killer Unicorns, as well as a really good Cyclone from Timic, means that they just kind of get the better fight. You know, they're using their composition really well here. They didn't manage to do much of this game one, but now that it's an even game state and they even have a pretty significant gold lead, I'm going to have to say that it's going to be pretty difficult to start winning these fights unless Pendulum just really lets you get back into it. As there's risk of it here, if they go for this steal, I think it's a bad decision.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like they're going to be in position. Timic, unfortunately, this time, he's not that Jarvan, doesn't have quite as much easy access. Will have to give that Inferno up. It's going to go the way of HypE Esports, and that is a bit of a way for them to try and get back in. But they have to be careful. Now they're on the back foot once again. Baron, absolutely no vision around it for either team. And Pendulum could potentially look to try and set up some vision, look to set up a trap perhaps against HypE Esports, as we're now into the 23rd minute of the game.
Yeah, traps around the Baron vision are very good because every team wants to try to contest Baron. You know, it's sort of a magnet, especially in gold and below elo, even to plat and diamond. You know, like it's just really easy to fall into the trap of, oh no, they're going to get Baron, they might end the game with it, we have to go try to contest. you just kind of lose sight of keeping yourself safe while you're doing it, and that's more often than not what actually leads to the Baron, so much as them actually just starting it at 23 minutes with their team being there. But earlier there, you can see that was a soul denied, and that's actually really important. You know, if they're not managing their back timings from Pendulum Gaming, it could actually be pretty difficult to get that soul unless they manage to find just a perfect fight right before. They have to be careful between aggression and aggression that costs them the soul, like we saw in that last fight.
For sure. And again, Ace in the hole coming out onto Tommy Peppers. They're starting to hurt a bit more. The Infinity Edge is completed for Snugglebutt, so is starting to hurt a little bit. And they are going to try and clear out this Baron ward here for the side of HypE Esports. So HypE Esports once more plunged into the dark. What they don't know though is the shrooms. Well, they don't know because Timmy literally just walked into that and Rinks was waiting on the side. They are going to start this Baron up here. No vision for HypE Esports. They're going to have to walk into this blind, but they do see it. The trap's now cutting off one of the entrance routes here. They're going to have to go around. Are they going to be able to stop this? Ray is still in the bot lane. He has shown there. Does not have a ton of mana, probably enough to throw one Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Baron already down to 4,000 health. It's ticking lower and lower, but they've turned out and they've left Killer Little Ninja to keep on taking the damage. Cyclone coming through for Timic here, and Nonstop Brain in the midst of it. The Glacial Prison coming out, and they do manage to find Timic. That's a jungler down. As long as Nonstop Brain stays alive. Nope, he's already dead. Never mind. Killer Little Unicorns is godlike right now, and Tommy Pepper's firing back, able to take down Killer Little Ninja. There's only 3 left alive right now for Pendulum, but they found 3 of their own. It's a 2 for 3, but they will have to abandon their hopes of taking this Baron buff for now.
Yeah, you know, I think with those 3 alive, you actually could take it, but you've got Ashe pressuring down on the bot side that it's really just not worth it. You're giving her extra free farm and the additional tower here. Trying to look for something a little bit safer is probably the right call. Without either jungler up, you know, it's just kind of a coin toss. The fact that Lux has ult up means they could probably just win out anyway. So I think this is the right call. It's just really hard to siege against the Lux.
For sure. I mean, she can lock you in there, let Baron continue putting down the damage on you here, and so they will back out. And I mean, the gold lead still sat steady at about 3,000 here between the two teams. Pendulum still in the lead, and they did kind of win that last team fight, but it looks like they're struggling a little bit to try and close the game out. So if you are Pendulum Chaotic Obsidian, what do you do to try and end this game before, like you said, you start giving HypE a way back into the game here?
Well, I think what they did there was pretty good. I think that they just chose to commit too much to the fight instead of finishing the Baron. If you have the Mordekaiser, you can basically guarantee that they're not going to steal it. So if Sejuani goes in, you just ult her out. And then anyone that actually has to physically come into range to check the Baron with their character portraits, you just wait for them to get all the way in, and then you flash initiate with Wukong or do something that you need to. You know, let the Leona zone and lock somebody down, and then follow up while you focus your time on the Baron. I think that that's how you play around that objective in this game. But right now, they've got to start focusing down towards Soul. You know, they have decent wards down here, and they're just now noticing that it's coming up. And this could be a good opportunity for HypE to just start this Baron.
And it's as if they've heard you here, as we do see Ray starting this up, but he has no one with him, and he's taking additional damage from being alone there with Baron. Yasuo only is behind the bush. Is he going to be able to spot this out? He's going to pop this. He's going to see it, but the Enchanted Crystal Arrow just barely whipping there. A series of unfortunate events here for HypE Esports, but it did mean he did not actually see the Baron here. That being said, they now know that it's possibly being done. All of them are running in now. We might see the opposite of the last fight, Timic getting caught out. The Glacial Fissure coming across. It's doing work, but the Disintegration Ray is melting everyone. Nonstop Brain got saved actually by being dragged into the Death Realm. They've already found 2. Can they find 3? It's Rinks dead now. Ray just barely living on a hope and a prayer, but he will most likely be able to get out. Oh no, he took the Blast Code in a bad direction, and Nerf Snugglebutt looking to find him. No ace in the hole available for him this time. They're going to keep on chasing this. The Claw does not find him. Ray will be just fine. And are they going to do Baron? No, because once again, Timic dead. And as you said, Tommy Peppers still alive. That's up the Lux. They don't know the cooldown on that final spark, but they are going to instead try and go for this soul instead, which will be absolutely massive. Ray behind the wall has to be careful. There is a ward there here. They know he's in the area, and he's going to get collapsed on. Killer Unicorn's able to get him. Final spark coming out way too early, and that's going to be Infernal Soul going the way of Pendulum as they start to tighten the noose around HypE Esports' neck.
Yeah, if Mordekaiser is not there, that is an easy steal for Lux. They just managed to pull it out of range just in time. They didn't seem to have anything up to actually clear that ward out. Even though Leona had 2 pink wards in her inventory, I don't know if maybe Leona wasn't in that fight. I'm not sure why they wouldn't just drop the pink ward to deny that vision, but if that wasn't the case, if something happened, or if they just bought the pink wards on the last back, which is totally possible, you know, it could have just been unlucky, setting up for the Lux steal. The fact that they didn't get it, though, means that this should be Pendulum Gaming in the driver's seat here, just really hoping to close out this game before those knife's edge team fights really start to come back around the other way, because that was actually a really good fight for HypE. They just couldn't close out the damage through Mordekaiser and Leona stuns.
Yeah, I mean, because they already started up the Baron, they were taking damage, and it looked for a second like they might have been able to turn back. Timic went down so quickly there. He is unfortunately extremely squishy, is building the death dance right now, and we're back to the same old Baron dance we've seen multiple times. Yasuo only having to burn his flash right now, and Timic potentially looking for the re-engage. He's flashed out as well, but that is 3 major ults, all 3 of the glacial ults down right now for the side of HypE Esports. Fluff gets smashed, just barely getting himself in there to body block that ace in the hole. Ray already down to half health, has to be careful here. And he opted for the Blade of the Ruin King IE build, so no Rudan's Hurricane for the team fights means that he has to be careful. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Killer Unicorns applying pressure here, and that's the advantage of the teleports. The fact that they've got 2 more teleports means they can afford to drag Rinks or Tommy Peppers off to a side. And Rinks not looking like he's gonna win this 1v1 right now, so he has to be careful. Will back out, and Pendulum not taking advantage of the pressure. They are going to go back to bases as well instead.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't have just taken the Baron here in this opportunity. They had everyone split down. They had the teleport advantage on the bot lane. They probably could have easily done that, to be honest. It's just not wanting to push too much of an advantage, which maybe leads to a couple of missed opportunities. It's not like there's anything stopping them from just recalling and then coming back and fighting over it with the Infernal Soul, but honestly, right after that soul, you kind of want to take a fight, in my opinion, because you just hit a major spike, and it's not like you actually had to go buy items for it. You got the double control word here. This Bear Invasion is definitely not worded. As we're going to see them start it here. To me, this is going to be the last fight, and we might not even see it as a full 5v5.
Yeah, most of HypE was not there, and Pendulum also, I feel like Killer Lil Ninja's been a bit unfairly treated this series. I feel like a lot of times they've sort of abandoned him, and they do find Killer Unicorns in the bush. He's 10-0-4. He's hyper-fed, but he can still potentially go down. It's going to be Fluff gets smashed, getting absolutely melted. Non-stop Raven once more in the death realm. He tried to flash over the wall, but Killer Unicorns kind of followed him there. The final spark comes out. They find Timic once again, and Ray just trying to get out. He turned around. Don't do that, my friend. Now you're dead. And that's going to be a 3-for-1. So the odds are improving right now for Pendulum. Never mind, I jinxed it. It's a 3-for-2 as we do see the flash burst come out from Rinks. And oh my goodness, Tommy Peppers finds another on the back end. It's now an even 3-for-3 trade. And before this, HypE was 6-21. They've only found 6 kills, and the bulk of that was on Timic. You can see Killer Unicorns 11-0-5 right now, has not died yet. Yasuo only 3-0-8. Also has not died yet. Before this snuggle, but 5-0-8. So Pendulum's been playing this so well in the team fights. They just can't seem to close it. And I'm not sure after this many attempts at Baron that Baron is going to be that key to them winning the game here.
Well, I don't know that I don't know if they necessarily need the Baron, but I think that getting it and trying to force the fight is what they want to do. The Wukong has to make sure he can stay alive. You know, they got the potential pick onto one person down there from HypE's perspective, but in the end of the day, it's a Mordekaiser. It doesn't matter if you stack 5 people on him, because he's just going to ult the tank, kill them, and then survive and get the additional stats and become so tanky anyway that it's like it doesn't even matter if you're there or not. So the fact that it was a Mordekaiser there means that they actually don't get the pick. I think that would have been the safer play was maybe Pendulum just stays on the Baron there. Again, they're not actually committing to finishing the Baron, even when it's the right time to take it, and it's probably the right time to focus it. They're choosing to peel off and look for the fights, which should be their win condition, but they've just been misplaying the ends of them just a little bit. They find the early 1 for 3, and then they overstay and get 2 more kills from the flash of the Teemo, and then one ult from Lux as the arrow's going to go wide, and that's actually going to be pretty big. Leona's still cut out, though.
Yeah, she's not going to be able to get out. The damage right now is massive, and unfortunately tank supports take a bit longer time to scale, but there is a catch on 3 right now from Killer Unicorns. The annihilation, the disintegration rate, pardon me, coming out. It's going to melt Rings here. Anthlov gets smashed. Ray shortly to follow there, and that's a lot of the sustained damage down. Tommy Pepper's going to use that final spark real early there, so that won't be available for a potential steal. And for the first time, Timic going to be alive for this Baron here. They're going to try this, but Tommy Peppers, that Comet from downtown, they managed to take Snugglebutt out. And again, Pendulum looking like they're scared to try and force this one out. They're going to go back to base. Instead, they're going to head towards maybe Elder here, as we do see the pings coming in from HypE for that Elder Drake, which did just spawn.
Yeah, but at this point, the Elder's up, but they don't have the health bars for it anymore. Lux can actually poke down and kill Wukong pretty easily when she gets the ultimate back up, and I think that ultimate's going to be back up in about 15 more seconds by the looks of that timer. It's not going to be very good news for Wukong as Final Spark does come back up now. It's 22 seconds. There's basically not going to be a fight that you could possibly take without Lux ult happening, even if you disengage and re-engage. 22 seconds is almost no time at all in League of Legends. And trying to find this Death Brush, I don't mind it. It's a good play, but I think that their Death Brush is just a little bit too far back. There's no reason why HypE would be checking up that far without assuming vision control first, like they did with the Scryer's Bloom there. So you have to watch Killer Unicorn here. If he can get onto the back line or find a big kill onto Ashe, maybe that wins the fight for them here. We're going to see it.
Timic now going in with the Cyclone. He does kind of get the backline, but not properly. Instead, it's Yasuo only trying to melt them. We do see Non-Stop Rain melted immediately, but Timic and Yasuo only extremely low. Double kill right now for Nerf Snugglebutt. Triple as he finds Ray as well. And once again, it's Tommy Peppers and Rinks against the world. But Rinks with the Mushroom Farm is picking up quite a few people on the backline. Snugglebutt and Killer Lil Ninja going down there. And while that was happening, the Winions managed to pick up another turret for HypE, and HypE has actually balanced out the turret score right now, and with at the 50,000 gold mark, a 5,000 gold lead, 10% is nowhere near as significant. And we take a quick look at the vision right now. There is a ward here, so they will see Tommy Peppers walking by, but they won't see the Elder being just shredded right now by Rinks. The teleport coming out, and it is going to be Killer Unicorns coming in. They will be able to see this now. The Dragon down to 5,000 health. The follow-up teleport from Yasuo only. Can they get this? Tommy Pepper's going to look for the steal. He has a ward in there. Is he going to be able to get it down to 900? No! He fired early, and Killer Unicorns will get the Elder Drake. They're going to trade Rinks for Yasuo only. And Pendulum, you've got yourselves the Elder Drake. Please look to end this one here.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go straight from Elder Drake into Baron. I think that that's probably the worst usage of Elder Drake that you can do. Sure, you can use it to secure the Baron, but in my opinion, Elder is a much better objective. Here we go. Push down the mid lane. Try to force something. You have an Infernal Soul and a 12-0 Mordekaiser. If you can't end off of this, then there's something you have to start looking into in these replays. You know, there's some kind of key as to why these fights aren't working out for them. It's not that they're not winning them. It's that they're not winning them by enough with the lead and the Dragon Soul that they have. Another Ashe are going to go wide. That's kind of the name of the game here. We'll just follow it all the way down lane, I guess. As it finds no one. The Team Mushroom proving infinitely more effective than those Ashos have so far. I think they're just using them too much to try to start the pick and not really comboing it in with a Lux Binding or something on a shorter cooldown.
Yeah, and I mean, I personally have criticized some Ashes for not throwing enough ults because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But this game, Ray's been missing almost 100% of the shots he has been taking here. And that's a little rough for him. But that being said, I do think that continuously just throwing them out is better than holding them. So even though he hasn't found anything yet, hopefully that will improve. The Hawk shot, however, does find Yasuo only. We will know that they're just clearing vision, but Tommy first has to be careful. He is getting caught out by Timic here. Timic coming in from the side. The second cyclone comes up, but he doesn't have enough damage for now. Does finally pop him. He's under the turret. Can he get out? A fight breaks out top side as well. Killer Unicorns going after Fluff, gets smashed. He gets him, and Ray just gets owned right there. As we do see the ace in the hole and the disintegration Ray. Pendulum finally looking like they found the advantage they need to. They get 3 kills. All of them are available, but they're gonna go for Baron instead.
Yeah, and that time turning out to be a disintegration Ray just toe, and they managed to find the kill. They locked down Tommy Peppers. They managed to find a couple of good Elder Dragon executions. They're not going for the end, which means they're going to delay for potentially Teemo to make something happen here. If the blast cone is available on the opposite side, I think that's the play. But he's just going to try to walk in and steal it with Finding Shot, I guess.
Unfortunately, they don't make it in time. That will be Baron over, and Nonstop Brain looking to try and get out. He gets dragged to the death realm. Killer Unicorn's getting a little greedy, perhaps, on this one. I don't think he was going to kill him fast enough, and now Rinks is there to back him up. So is Fluff gets smashed, and this might be the opportunity to finally take down Killer Unicorns. No, Killer Unicorn's still able to get the kill. Enchanted Crystal Arrow once again going wide, and this is going to be a 1v3. He gets 1, he gets 2, and he gets out scot-free.
Yeah, I mean, up level 18, up 5 levels on the jungle Sejuani. Sejuani just not having enough magic resist to deal with this right now. You know, going for the Ninja Tabby instead of the Merc Treads. In my mind, anytime that I see a Leona, that's Merc Treads to me, especially if it's Pant Channel with the Mordekaiser. But Sejuani opting for the Ninja Tabby because the Caitlyn was poking her down, or maybe the Wukong matchup was too tough in the jungle. You know, you can say things about the build if you want, but I don't really think that that's the ultimate problem here. They're just not really. They can't kill the Mordekaiser. That's just the pure fact of it here, as Ray is taken very low into this tower.
Yeah, so only from the side, looking for that flanking sort of poke there, almost takes Ray down. He is going to be forced back, but Timic getting absolutely shredded, just barely dodging out on the final spark there. Will be able to survive for now, and that's kind of been, as you said, the name of the game here. A lot of these sort of long-range ultimates not necessarily quite finding their intended targets. Tommy Pepper struggling to find kills with that final spark, and Ray, the Enchanted Crystal Arrows right now also not really finding their targets, and it looks like Pendulum finally, with that Baron buff that they've been looking for the last, 17 minutes here, are still not really pushing to end the game here, and HypE benefiting from the time to try and skill up, but they're just so far behind right now that they've not been able to win really any of the fights in the last 20 minutes here.
Yeah, and this is a really good example of what separates the really well-played, coordinated teams from some teams that just don't have the same kind of experience. You know, learning how to push with the Baron buff. When you're this far ahead, it should absolutely have ended 10 minutes ago by now, or better, like 25 minutes. Force that fight over that Baron and just zone with Mordekaiser and pick up the 3 kills while he's in the death, or you know, once he's out of the death realm. It's if you have to wait for the next Elder in order to end this after you've gotten 1 Elder, the Infernal Soul, and a Baron already. It's really time to look at your macro game as a team and see what you could start doing.
And we have it! Finally, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow lands. It hits Killer Unicorns, but can they get anything off of it? Like you said, it's that super tanky Mordekaiser here. They might actually have found themselves dead, but a beautiful Glacial Fissure to interrupt the disintegration rate. Now, Timic into the backline. He can't seem to find anybody. Will be forced out. That was Fluff gets smashed going down, but that's the life of a support, and you can count that as a win. Now, Yasuo only just barely surviving the Zhonya's. Keeping him alive will preserve his Medjais for now. And despite losing Fluff gets smashed, I actually think that's the best fight that HypE Esports has found in the last 20 minutes here. Now Elder Drake is spawning. Both teams are going for this one here. It will be a 4v5, and I think despite how slow Pendulum has been to pull the trigger, if they lose this one, they might lose the game here. They're setting up a death push. They've got 4 stacked. Yasuo only going back to base, but he does have the teleport. Hawkshot will show them up. The teleport is coming in now. And now both teams just kind of disengaging as Ray and Fluff are back in base, and they now have to run back to Elder in time to try and contest this one here.
Yeah, I think Pendulum needs to they needed to just force this faster. They had the 4v5, they had a very clear advantage. The fact that they didn't just start this Elder and try to force the 4v5 is, again, I think just a little bit of a misplay. I don't know if they don't realize how far ahead Mordekaiser really is, or if maybe they're just giving too much respect, but we're about to see if he's actually that strong.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow point blank lands. That means not much of a stun, but the Solar Flare doesn't hit anything at all, not even the slow for now. Elder has been started up by Fluff, gets smashed, but it's confused. It can't find a target to latch onto just yet. And they're still going to continue this Dragon Dance for now. Thankfully for HypE Esports, that top wave bounce, will bounce off of this, so it should be fine. They're not looking at a huge wave, but that bot wave here is potentially going to be a problem. They need to start a fight, or they might lose this. And PLG has recognized this Pendulum going to look for that end game push on the bot side here. Killer Little Ninja is spotted out. I don't know if he realizes that the sweeper, pardon me, has caught him, and it's going to be Pendulum on the inside track looking to break open HypE's base right now. Final Spark comes out, but without the passive, there's not enough damage. Killer Unicorns instantly dragging non-stop brain into that death round for him. Fluff gets smashed, getting smashed once again. Timic in the back line, but can he find anything? They already have 3 down. It's only Tommy Peppers and Ray left alive, and Pendulum pushing in. They've got 3 as well. It's a 3v2 right now. Not a lot of minions. Ray doing a great job. He cut off the next minion wave, so there's not going to be any more minions coming in. Final Smart coming out once more, but Killer Unicorn's happy to just tank this one up. Yasuo only has to go golden to just try and survive for now. A beautiful flash to keep him safe. And what on earth is Pendulum doing? They're stuck in the middle of nowhere.
Oh my goodness.
Yasuo going down. Finally, the shutdown coming out. Ray able to finally take down Killer Unicorns. That's his first death of the game. And Snugglebutt walked into a shroom. That's an ace right now from HypE Esports. They turned the most unlikely of fights, that last minute turn here. And they are going to start up the Elder for themselves. It's going to be 5 seconds on Killer Little Ninja, 10 on Timic here. But no teleports. And with that Runans, with the Blade of the Ruined King, Ray is just shredding the Elder. It should be a HypE Elder. Could we begin to see a reversal here from HypE Esports in Game 2?
I cannot believe how that fight just went down. There should have been absolutely no way that even Mordekaiser by himself went down. If he was 1v2 there, they should have been able to kill him. But that turnaround, in addition to the Elder here and a pick on the Leona, this could be the tide turning back into HypE Gaming's favor.
And they do manage to get the Execute coming down. It doesn't matter how tanky you are, an Execute will kill you when you're low enough. Now Timic on that top side, and that's actually going to mess up Pendulum because they will have to fight 5v4 for this Baron buff here. And HypE not wasting any time. They just started up. Forget the ward. That's not important. Just go for the Baron here. They do clear out the vision, and it's going to be dark right now for the side of Pendulum. They drop the blue trinket. They see how fast it's being shredded. It's already down to less than half health now. Nerve looking for it. Ace in the hole comes out, but it hits non-stop brain. He doesn't care. He's tanking up. He's got the boots. And Timic now coming in for the steal. Can he find it? No, he can't. Non-stop brain manages to secure it, and that's going to leave Timic in the middle of a whole bunch of people. Snugglebutt, though, able to pump out the damage. He manages to take down non-stop brain, but it's a little too late. And now Ray, with the Hurricane, just pumping out the DPS in the backline. Ring's going to get melted down there. And after that, it is going to be a 2-for-1, but that is still Baron and Elder on the 3 surviving members of HypE Esports. The snipe from downtown sees Snugglebutt executed once again. You can see him just completely keeling over, knowing he was dead.
60-second death timers on any member that falls from here on out, and they're only going to get longer. They've absolutely, in my mind, stabilized this gold. A 6k gold lead at 50 minutes is nothing. Once Sejuani manages to get this completed, hopefully Adaptive Helm, she's going to not be as susceptible to dying to Mordekaiser anymore. And the fact that Leona went down there, they enabled the Baron to come in, and then we just found more and more kills. And again, maybe Leona goes down here. She can't get out of this.
And Killer Ninja getting caught out once again. I thought he had fixed the problem. He looked so good through the mid game, but it's looking like he's slightly tilted right now. So he gets caught on his own again when his team is just about to start respawning. And now they've got to try and defend this base push right now. The Lux out comes out, the execute comes down, and this might actually be game. HypE might have pulled it off after a 20-minute snooze fest. We're suddenly seeing the most exciting last 5 minutes of the game. Ace in the hole coming out, but against that much lifesteal, Ray is already back up there looking for the push. Where is Rinks? This is a 4-person push. Rinks is still back in base. He's running as fast as a short team. Olix can carry him. They're looking to push in. The Nexus turrets are taking damage. The final spark comes out once again. Timic now into the backline. The Death Realm isn't going to come out. No, it's not. Oh. He's already almost dead. He died actually, and Timic soon to follow. Snugglebutt's still alive, and he can pump out damage, but he's got no more frontline. He has to be careful. Redemption gonna get them back up to full health. Now Killer Lil Ninja is back up, but it might be too little too late. What can the bot lane of Pendulum do? Well, they're gonna go on Ray. They found Ray. They get Ray. But can't they stop the rest of the team pushing down? No, they can't. So, as you said, doesn't matter as one more final spark comes out. That 20-second cooldown, it came up 3 times in that last fight. And HypE gets themselves a second straight win here against all odds.
I don't want to even attempt to make excuses for Pendulum there. There's no reason they should be losing in that situation. They had a 12-0 Mordekaiser, and they just decided to waste him. They didn't go for any objective that they should have had for absolutely free. And anytime that they did go for an objective, they prioritized trying to get kills over objectives. And I think that if we were to look at the kills to overall gold difference in both of these games, one thing that I noticed in the first game, HypE had a 4K gold lead on far fewer kills than Pendulum had with a 2K gold lead, which means to me they're just putting too much focus into getting kills and forgetting about pretty much everything else in League of Legends that will actually close out a game and win it. And that's not to say that they didn't get those things. They had Infernal Soul, they had an Elder, they had a Baron, and they still could not find a way to close out those things. If you compare that to what HypE was able to do with the same amount of resources, they got, I believe, 1 Baron and one Elder Dragon, and they managed to end the game with their first Baron buff that they secured. It's just pretty unexcusable for Pendulum to lose in that spot. Although I understand that HypE was able to come back on their own accord very successfully there. You know, they didn't force anything. They didn't find any fight that was really too bad for them. And even when they traded 2 for 3, they managed to find a couple of cleanup kills just from Pendulum overstaying. That game was absolutely insane to me. It should not have gone the way that it did, but I'm excited that it did because HypE deserved that win.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that was just an epic base defense, an epic stall to sort of keep things going. And I'm actually super, super shocked because Pendulum in the regular season is actually one of the sort of faster teams, more decisive teams. So this is definitely not the sort of appearance that I would have expected from Pendulum. And the last time I saw them perform this poorly was in, I believe it was week 3 against Roar Yordles here. So, I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I'm hoping Pendulum manages to fix themselves. The starting of the game looks so good. They just kind of just ran out of fuel in the mid game, and man, that you just hate to see stuff like that happen. And with that, their backs are now up against the wall. HypE is up 2-0 in this best of 5. So Pendulum gonna have to bring their A game here into game 3 to make sure they continue to keep their playoff hopes alive today. And with that, we are gonna head into a quick intermission break. Well, it might not be that quick. We are gonna head to an intermission break, pardon me, while we prepare for game 3, because we've just had an amazingly long game 2. So just give us a moment and we'll be back soon.